Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Modern Market, where every day we discuss all things to do with the market. That is the crypto market, the NFT market, the metals market, the stock market, any market where we can make some or hopefully a lot of money on the internet. Loaded up discussion today. We have crypto falling again as Trump continues to create uncertainty over the relationship with Europe. Some pretty nonsensical things being shared on the internet. We will discuss shortly. The New York Stock Exchange announces a plan to launch tokenized stock exchange for 24/7 trading. Let's think through those implications on the show today. And Coinbase announces they're bringing the country of Bermuda on chain. What does that mean? We'll also talk general market ideas, price action on crypto, and more. Stay tuned for that. I've got Legendary in the co-host seat with me today. We're ready to get into it. Plus, we are delighted to say we've got Sam Stats from Memeland, good friend of the show, joining us in his Memeland capacity today. He has been a host with us before to chat what's been going on with Memeland and their new AceTrader competition. So looking forward to have that conversation in just a little bit. Before we get there, just a reminder, friends, that nothing that we say on this show is financial advice. The market is way too risky sometimes, and we do not know anything for sure. So please do proceed with caution and exercise your own judgment. With that out of the way, Legendary, it is Tuesday, the 20th of January. How are you doing? How are you feeling?
GM, it is a very interesting day indeed, maybe a bit of foreshadowing on the headlines. I typically like to be a bit more skeptical of what Coinbase is doing in terms of Base app here, NFT marketplace there, and just trying many products, and some of them work and a lot of them don't. I mean, it's probably also what you do when you have a significant budget and want to scale, so you can be a bit more experimental. But the Bermuda thing is a really cool one. Like, now that's something interesting to say as a company. Hey, by the way, we're working on bringing a country on chain, and I did look into what that means. It's actually a fascinating experiment that they're running in real life. So probably the headline I'm most excited for today, because honestly, the Trump stuff is entertaining. It's crazy. It makes me think, is this real? Is this a simulation? But the Bermuda news is one that I get like personally passionate about.
That's cool. I think that is that's fun. I'm glad that you can still find some passion for the market, Legendary. Yesterday it sounded like you were logging off for AI. It sounds like you got your AI friends now, your new AI agents, and I thought we might have lost you. What's your split between your AI friends and your crypto friends now?
Dude, it's very, very AI heavy, especially now as I got to the point where I work with Cloud Code, OpenAI's Codex, and Gemini, all of the three coding tools. And I built this orchestrator link that they can basically coordinate one another, talk to one another. And yes, they're burning some tokens by chatting with one another, but it's absolutely hilarious. I don't know if you've seen what I posted today on the timeline. I had Gemini. Gemini is really good with UI stuff. Do a cool redesign, which is matching the current iOS 26 liquid glass look, which we're seeing everywhere, which even CoinMarketCap, because I just have it open on my other screen, is using to have this like glass-like transparency effects. But by doing that, it completely bricked my entire database. And Claude started to comment on that and started to say stuff like, oh boy, let's see what Gemini did. And I didn't task it to go on with the commentary. It like literally started code reviewing and giving me like some pieces of comment and feedback as it went. And then it ended all of that by saying that Gemini is a good intern, but don't give it the production database password. So they start roasting one another and commenting, and it's absolutely hilarious to watch them interact while they also get stuff done that I could never get done in ever, because that's not my strong suit, obviously, to code.
So who's the biggest bully out of the agents? Who's winning? Who's winning the battle of the agents between themselves?
Claude is definitely the biggest bully. Claude is also like the one who is, obviously you can configure all AI models to talk however you want them to talk to you. But like by default, Claude is also the one who pushes back on the ideas and tells you if stuff is overkill. And it did not used to be the case, because Claude was actually the complete opposite. It was telling you every idea that you have is great. Like, no matter how, I don't know, weird or cruel or whatever your stuff is, it's a great idea. but it completely flipped the script and is now the one who's actually by default pushing back the most. And it's getting sassy. It's telling you stuff. Okay, this is the last time I'm going to review this. It's that has some inbuilt passive aggressiveness, which I appreciate.
I like it. I like it. I'm for that. I'm for being firm with your agents and then letting them be firm with you. Like I'm pro that. People should be clear in their expectations of each other. I'm very pro. So okay, that's fine. We'll keep an update on your life with agents moving forward. But let's get into the show. Let's get into the news to get you up to speed with everything that you need to know in the last 24 hours in the market, as usual, starting with the price action. We've got Bitcoin down a couple of percent to 91.1K. ETH is down 3%, a little bit more to 3.1. BNB is down 1% to $912. XRP is down 2% to $1.93. Sold down almost 4% to $128. And Hyperliquid is down 5%, underneath $23. That's been a reasonable move down. Zcash is back down to 367. Sui is down 3% to $1.50. That big excitement about moving higher earlier in the week hasn't materialized, but equally, I feel like people who think we're just going to go so much lower. We're just bobbing around here, not really going anywhere. People getting really, really cut up about a few percent moves. Pengu's down 4% on the meme coin side. Doge is down a couple of percent. Pepe's down 2% too. Bonk is down a couple of percent. Pump Fund is up a couple of percent on the news of this new creator fund, which I'll touch on in a second. SPX down 11%. Pippin down 10%. So generally red day across the board. Getting into the headlines that we'll talk about today, we'll talk crypto falling again as Trump continues to create uncertainty over the relationship with Europe. We've got the New York Stock Exchange announcing plans to launch tokenized stock exchange for 24/7 trading. Big question there. Is that good for crypto? Is it still needed? Or does that mean that's incredible competition for crypto? And therefore people can just go elsewhere to do all the things that they could have done here to trade it around the clock. We'll get some takes later. Coinbase announces they're bringing the country of Bermuda on chain. Legendary is excited to explain that. Some notable price action. Canton is up 11%. People aren't super familiar with Canton. It's a chain. It's up 11%. It's at a $4.6 billion FTV. Talking about all these other chains coming, that there's no space for chains anymore. Canton is super corporate. It does a lot of corporate volume. And it's a much higher valuation than a lot of the other chains that may be more popular on crypto Twitter specifically. The Axie Gaming token is up 14%, back to $549 million FTV. US natural gas sliding into the price action section today, up 20% in one day. And the classic Ether rock, this beautiful gray rock with a little bit of light shining off it on the top right-hand corner, 61 ETH for one of these classic Ether rock NFTs. In other news, Trove TGE collapses. We talked about Trove yesterday. All the undisclosed advertisements for it, all of the poor execution from the team who claimed to be raising for one reason and ended up raising for another, has absolutely collapsed down. 20 mil val, launched that down to 868K. I don't know if that's exactly 99% down, but it must be close to it. Pump Fund announces a $3 million of funds to help fund early projects and create alignment. They're going to fund 12 projects with 250K each at a $10 million valuation. Sounds interesting, if not a bit ambitious. Maybe we'll touch on that in a sec. Coinbase CEO Brian Armstrong continues to work on the crypto market structure bill. Whilst in Davos, Mega ETH announces a global stress test. They're going to be targeting 11 billion transactions in 7 days. Magic Eden announces 15% of all Magic Eden revenue will flow directly into the Magic Eden ecosystem, 50% for buybacks, 50% distributed as USDC to Magic Eden stakers. Obviously, you got to know how much Magic Eden are making to know if that is a lucrative offer or not. So do check that before you just ape in. And finally, Machina warns users that experience $5 million stablecoin exploit, and they say that people should remove their funds now. That's a great shame. I had invested in Machina. Those funds, I don't know when they're going to TGE. I'd taken my money out of the liquidity pool for now. If your money's still in there, it sounds like it would be wise to take it out now. Again, again, it's kind of highlighting the risk in DeFi. Even these contracts, even though they've been around for a long time, still got to be careful, which is a shame, I think. But it can happen. It's the risk we're aware of. So I hope you are not affected too poorly. That's the roundup to get you up to with everything that you need to know in the last 24 hours. Before we hit the main stuff today, Ledge, is there anything catching your attention here or elsewhere that you think we should know?
There's two things that are catching my attention. One is I don't know if we've spoken about this on the show, the ETH Gas Foundation GUI thingy where people are signing up for that airdrop. I think airdrop is tomorrow. Yes, today we have at 1 p.m. UTC the eligibility checker, which should be in 45 minutes from now. And tomorrow, so in 25 hours from now, we should have the TGE. Don't have high hopes, but that's the one where everyone was posting. I burned 30 ETH, 40 ETH, 50 ETH, whatever on gas fees. I did sign up for that as well. So curious to see if I'm going to get some breadcrumbs back from that airdrop. Did you do that one? Did you see that one?
I haven't signed up. It made it mostly because I forgot, but I also thought that I saw the way that it said, the way that it's phrased it, it made it sound like you didn't need to sign up. I mean, obviously I should have signed up because it's better to sign up than not, but do you think that's fair, or have I just been too lazy?
I think that's fair. I have no idea, honestly, in terms of the sign up procedure. I did it, but again, I don't have high expectations. But if it's some nice dinner, steak money, Claude token money, whatever, we are taking that. The other more relevant thing, which I also wanted to touch on, is coming from the X Engineering account, and it is to do with the fact that they've open sourced the new X algorithm, and it is powered by the same transformer architecture that is also used for Grok's X AI model. And there's an interesting thing with there, because I've seen so many threads popping up on the timeline which are trying to say, oh, this is how the algo works, this is what it does. And a lot of that is actually not based on what is in the GitHub. It's like just recycled old content from how the algo used to work. There are a couple of good posts, but obviously you can put that GitHub into Claude and tell Claude to have a look at it, and only that, and not hallucinate stuff outside of it. And if you do that, there's quite some interesting things to learn about how the algorithm works, which is both for the For You page, but also in understanding what goes viral when you post it. So for the what you see, that's probably the more obvious one. It is that your engagement history is directly shaping your feed. So basically the transformer tries to see what have you liked in the past, what have you clicked on, liked, commented, replied, all the things, and see new posts, put you in a cluster and try to predict, okay, if I show this guy that post, are they likely to engage with it? And it's also prioritizing multi-engagement. So if the algo thinks, well, this is a post you would probably like repost, bookmark, like, and comment on, it's going to prioritize that a lot. Now, if you flip that and try to understand what makes a post go viral, it is basically clustering us, X's user base, into what they call candidate pools. So it's embedding similarity. And then when you post something, it is looking how many candidate pools is that matching. It tries to establish how many people in how many pools would be likely to multi-engage with that post, to comment under it, to reply it, to do all the things. And it scores high for more users. It is embedding the similarity. So basically, the closer your post is to what other users, and a lot of them have previously engaged with, the more likely it is for your post to go viral. So basically, if there's 100 million X users who are posting rage bait, engaging with rage bait, and you post crypto rage bait, this will go viral and will have everyone see that. So basically, your engagement history defines what you see, and whether your content matches patterns in other people's engagement histories is defining whether your post will go viral or not.
Gosh, what a pain. That probably explains quite a lot, right? It explains why this is one of the most painful things as someone who creates some content. Like, if something is going viral, the pressure or the feeling that you have to, like, if someone else was awake before you, or if someone else saw something before you, and if you're like 1 hour or 2 hours late, you don't really need to add to the conversation 9 times out of 10. Like, this is where I've kind of come out of it. Like, I like hosting the show. I used to tweet more news things, and I was like, do I want to be an account that's constantly tweeting breaking news? Not really. I'd rather tweet my long form thoughts. And even those, I'm leaning into just giving them on the show now. Although I should get back to that more on the timeline. But I think it definitely explains why you have to then see when something big happens, like 25 variations of the exact same tweet as people try to just jump on the exact trend. I don't know the way around that though, Legendary, because if that is the thing that is hot on the moment, then they're not going to turn it down, are they? Like, realistically. So there's no way to solve for that as such, is there?
Not really, no. And it also, on the other hand, what I think it's helpful if, I don't know, you are the guy who's very passionate, right, about the intersection of football and AI, and the algorithm is identifying a candidate pool of like sports nerds and AI nerds, and you are writing something on that and it matches really well with that candidate pool, it will not go viral across X, but it also will mean that it has a very good chance to exactly hit your target audience with it. The question with that then obviously also becomes, how exactly and how granular are those candidate pools? That's something I have not looked into. I don't know the answer to that, but it could also have a good upside if it works the way that I expect it to work.
Interesting. Well, at a minimum, I think it's cool that it's open source now, so people can try to. People always try to game the system once they know how it works, which will inevitably be frustrating in some capacity, but probably on the balance, transparency. Actually, I don't actually always think this. Sometimes I think transparency is not the best thing, and you as a leader have the right to make a decision and not tell people, because if you just tell people, they're just going to game it. So that's my suspicion here. As soon as you tell people, people just be constantly gaming it, make the place completely unbearable. I don't know. Let's see. Maybe it just gets gamed either way. One thing I wanted to chat about was this Pump Fund announcement of $3 million of funds to help fund early projects and help create alignment. They said they're going to fund 12 projects with 250K at a $10 million valuation. I don't really understand. Like, I don't really understand. I'm just going to look for some further context here because I don't understand the point of this. So I'm trying to find some further context. And Alon quote tweeted this build. So it's called the Build in Public Hackathon. There's $3 million in funds available. They obviously want to pick a very specific set of teams. He said distribution was such a huge challenge for us that one of my only New Year's resolutions ever was to get to 10K followers on X in 2024. Only a few months after Pump Fund was launched, it clicked. Projects began launching tokens because they knew that, one, users loved buying into fresh ideas they thought had a chance of becoming successful, and two, there were millions of these kinds of people which could become potential users and investors. So instant liquidity meant that you can get funded too. This eventually snowballed into on-chain AI season, which showed builders and traders alike how big the opportunity was. Pump Fund's third year will be all about optimizing our existing ecosystem while trying to expand it with big bets, such as betting on the startup ecosystem via initiatives like Pump Fund and Build in Public Hackathon. So, yeah, I mean, I guess I'm trying to see the further details. As I said, they're going to fund 12 projects with 250K at a 10 mil valuation, giving mentorship with Pump Fund's founders and more. What makes the hackathon different is that instead of having to please judges and VCs for money, tokenizing allows the market to become the judge. And the eligibility is this: you launch a token, you build a project, you own at least 10% of the token supply, you build in public, posting on X, forming a community, and streaming on Pump Fund are highly encouraged. It doesn't need to be crypto related. I don't entirely get this then. So, they're going to be giving you the money. You're going to have this automatic valuation. You're going to have 10% of the supply. Actually, I don't know which way around. Maybe you got to do all this stuff first, and then you get given the money at a specific valuation. How can you decide that they're going to be at that valuation before you know the teams? 10 million is a lot of money. Or maybe it's just not. Maybe no one cares about 10 million anymore. Inflation's happened. Do you know what I mean? How you can't really just decide that these companies are going to be worth 10 mil, or are these just the standard terms these days? Do you understand my confusion here, Ledge?
Yeah, because I was very confused reading that thing myself.
Okay. Anything else?
Per se, I like it that it is also applicable outside of crypto, but I don't know how many people outside of crypto will be wanting to engage with pump fund or pump fund related things. They are basically acting as a mini VC with their money, like with that hackathon, which is also okay. I think I'm curious to see if they manage to attract something of substance, or if it will be still within that meme-ish category. That's the thing I'm really curious about.
Okay. Well, they said it doesn't actually need to even be in crypto. They're trying to attract.
Exactly. That's the question. If you're building outside of crypto, will you want to be funded by the platform who got the outside of crypto, at least the most notorious reputation for running so many scams, rug pulls, etc.? Not pump fund, but people using that. But obviously, outside of crypto, you don't make that distinction, and you've heard negative things about pump fund if you've heard about it.
Yeah. Okay. Let's see then. We will see. Getting into the headlines themselves, let's get to the first headline, which is that crypto's moving down again. Unfortunately, metals are moving up again. Unfortunately, if you don't hold any, or fortunately, if you are, and Trump's getting a bit more aggressive in Europe. So what do we need to know here?
Yeah, I feel like I can record parts of that and just repeat it every day, because every day I feel like I'm saying partially the same thing, which is gold hit a new all-time high. Gold finally crossed 4.7K. It's trading at $4,727, up 1%. Silver is up again, crossed $95. It's at $95.4. Bitcoin outflows, there's no new news or data on that, because yesterday was MLK. Markets were closed. Really, really short market update. Let's more focus on the political side of things. Why is this happening? The Trump Greenland EU tensions are continuing. This is the latest on that. President Trump posted a text message he had received from France's President Macron. He said, "I do not understand what you're doing on Greenland. Let us try to build great things," Macron said. And he also set up a meeting with Trump in Switzerland, including Ukraine, Denmark, Syria, and Russia. Donald Trump just screenshotted that and posted that, which is also aligned with that Coinbase article, which we went through yesterday on the tariff blueprint, where they said after markets opened, Tuesday is typically the day where you start to see some sort of more positive signaling. We are negotiating, we are moving forward, we're trying to find a deal. There's also been on that a video by Trump, which I want to share real quick. Let me get this running.
President Macron saying he will not join the board of meetings.
Oh, did he say that? Well, nobody wants him because he's going to be out of office very soon. So, that's all right. What I'll do is, if they feel like Costo, I'll put a 200% tariff on his wines and champagnes, and he'll join. But he doesn't have to join. If he said that, you're probably giving it to me a little bit differently. But if he actually did say that, but as you know, he's going to be out of office in a few months.
Did you invite?
It's a bit low in volume, I think. I can't turn it up more than that. Basically, what Trump is saying here is that Macron is going to be out of office in a couple months, not relevant anymore. And if he's not agreeing what he says, he's just going to put a 200% tariff on wines and other exports. So just continuing the tariff threat as per usual. And to add on top of that, what Trump has also been what he's also been posting on Truth Social is pictures of him in office with Greenland with a US flag on it. And what he's also been posting, a more AI edited picture, is a picture of him, of JD Vance, setting foot on Greenland with a massive American flag, saying it's US territory established in 2026. So the threats continue, the Greenland takeover signaling continues, but at the same time, we also see some more positive signaling. Hey, we're moving forwards with some sort of conversations and negotiations. Market, unsurprisingly, the riskier side of the market, which is crypto, does not like that at all. Crypto is down. What's probably also exacerbating the fact is what I mentioned before, which is stocks did not trade yesterday. We did not have the validation from stocks that they would not dump as much or they would recover throughout the day. So basically, don't have anything that would signal relief for crypto. But what we do have is, of course, still the pre-markets today. Markets will open again, and they're even down more than they were yesterday. As always, caveat: futures trading is with lower volume than spot volume for that. But looking at the numbers, S&P 500 futures down 1.5%, Nasdaq futures down almost 2%, and Dow futures down 1.35%.
Very, very interesting stuff. I mean, one initial reaction for sure is a couple of things. One, it is genuinely crazy that world leaders are messaging each other and then the president is leaking the messages. Like, that is crazy, like absolutely crazy. I don't know if you saw the other message, Legendary. We didn't touch on it there. Sometimes you don't even know if this stuff is real. Do you see the letter he sent to Norway where he said that, because it literally starts the letter, because you didn't give me the Nobel Peace Prize, and then went on to say some other stuff. Like, this is pretty, you know, is this tactical? Is it anything else? It's definitely wild. Like, it's a wild strategy. I'm sure you can make the argument that it is tactical, it's for leverage, etc., but it is certainly wild, and it's not going to win friends. And maybe that's not the point anymore. Maybe it's not the point for them to be winning friends. They need to just assert their dominance, and everyone else, from their perspective, needs to get in line. I think that's probably the conclusion that they've come to. But it is definitely crazy. Any reflections here?
Seen the letter. Let's get up. It's considering your country decided to not give me the Nobel Peace Prize for having stopped 8 wars plus, I no longer feel an obligation to think purely of peace, and so on and so forth. This got 70 mil views. We got some additional context in the community reviews. Yes, it is an official letter. It is true that's not reported as fake by community notes, and also CNN, BBC, major media outlets report on that and did link that post specifically.
So look, I think we talked about it yesterday about the Coinbase letter and how these things and negotiations tend to go. It might feel, well, this I guess would be the playbook. Who knows whether it works out to the playbook. You go incredibly hard at the beginning, you continue to push hard, and then at some point soon, people start to be far more appeasing. There starts to be more softer language being used, and then you kind of work your way to a positive resolution. That would be if things go by the playbook. We do not know. We're not geopolitical experts. This feels pretty wild, but that would be the optimum scenario, I think, for the majority of people, from a peaceful perspective. So let's see. We don't know what's going to go. I think at least in the interim, you can expect some more volatility, because I don't think people are going to like this uncertainty, continued uncertainty. That is the name of the game at the moment. That's why I think the metals keep going up, and that's what's happening there. So look, let's just slide into the next headline then, because we've got a couple more bits to do before we get into our conversation with Sam from Memeland, which we are looking forward to get into in just a little bit. But we've got some other important stuff to get to first. Next headline is that the New York Stock Exchange is developing its tokenized securities platform. So this is the news that the New York Stock Exchange new digital platform will enable tokenized trading experiences, crucially 24/7 operations, instant settlement, order sized in dollar amounts, and stablecoin based funding as well. Stablecoin based funding. I don't know if people knew that specific detail. Its design combines the New York Stock Exchange cutting-edge pillar matching engine with blockchain-based post-trade systems, including the capability to support multiple chains for settlement and custody. They said, for more than 2 centuries, the New York Stock Exchange has transformed the way markets operate. We are leading the industry towards fully on-chain solutions, grounded in the unmatched protections and high regulatory standards that position us to marry trust with state-of-the-art technology. So that's the key headline. There's a couple of takes here on opposing sides that I'll share. First, CZ from Binance, or formerly from Binance, but basically, attached to Binance, very prominent founder who founded Binance, said that this is bullish for crypto and crypto exchanges. On the other hand, our friend Moritz, exceptional trader and good market thinker, said this is pretty much a one-shot kill for all equity perp dexes. There's no reason anymore to trade equity perps on Hyperliquid or other platforms. The only reason was to farm an airdrop. 24/7 availability was the narrative, but that is dead now. He then clarified in the comments. He said, okay, people in the comments say it still has use case because you don't need KYC to trade on Hyperliquid, whereas you will do for any New York Stock Exchange product, in which case he says the use case is money laundering. So those are your 2 use cases. You could decide what you think is. But Ledge, coming to you here, where do you stand on this? Do you think this is good? I've always been of the opinion that stocks coming on chain is really bad for alts because everything is going to be next to each other. Everything's in competition with each other. Some people suggest this is good. What do you think?
I think it's bad for alts who have no other value than just being purely speculative, which is a lot of them. I think generally for the market, this is good. We also had the announcement that the NASDAQ is looking into 24/5, so 24 hours a day, 5 days a week, trading not on the blockchain to the best of my knowledge, but simply enabling that, especially in a world where we talked so much about President Trump announcing things on weekends, waiting for the future market to open Sunday 6 p.m. Eastern time, and just trying to hit impact whatever verb you want to use the market when there's the least liquidity. And then also basically seeing that the only thing people can then trade to react that instantly is crypto, and crypto is, which is then moving up or down depending on what is going on, feels outdated. It just feels outdated. And I think because of this like political cycle, because of the fact crypto has gotten more relevant, we got to the point where these exchanges are moving forward with finding solutions to enable longer trading hours, constant trading hours. And it's probably something that has been discussed over the last decade or 2 decades. It's not a new thought by all means, but it feels with the current setup that now this is the time to actually want to have that live. Like, it does feel very weird to not be able to trade the S&P, not be able to trade NASDAQ when it's Saturday. And I mean, of course you can trade it, but I mean, like, trading at the market actually being open, and Trump is announcing, I don't know, that he is attacking Greenland or whatever is coming next.
I don't know. I take maybe I don't know if I'm taking the other side to you on this, but I've got a feeling I don't think crypto necessarily demonstrates, because people in crypto trade 24/7. I don't think that's like product market fit for everyone wanting to trade 24/7. I think this will go live. I don't know this 100%. Maybe people will get forced into trading it, but I suspect people will just still try to stick to their normal hours. I don't know why anyone would want the crypto trader live. That's why so few people do it. I don't think people will want to trade 24/7. Like, I don't think people in crypto are the best example of the average, even thoughtful investor. I think they're a very, very small microcosm, and I don't think that's product market fit for 24/7 trading. I guess we're going to go in that direction anyway, and we'll see. But that's my small instinct. What do you think about that, Ledge, before we hit the final headline, and then before we get to go on?
Definitely not for everyone, but at least I feel like you should have the option. Like, haven't you ever been in a situation that Saturday you open your brokerage account, you want to buy something, and then, oh, market's closed, you can't do this, put in a limit order for when the market's open again. Just that this feels frustrating. Of course, it's not for everyone, but like, don't you want to have that?
You're gonna have to trade the market 24/7 then, because if Trump does the thing on Saturday, you're gonna have to, like, you can't be off on Saturday if you're fully invested or if you're a trader anymore.
Yeah, if
I
you
think it's an
trade
issue.
a short time frame, of course, then you have to also watch the market or close your
Yeah,
position.
to be fair, maybe most people aren't short-term traders anyway, so maybe it just goes around in a circle like that. Okay. One more headline before we get to our conversation with Stats. Looking forward to that conversation with what Memeland's up to and their latest AceTrader development. So excited to find out more about that. One more headline, Ledge, which I think you said you were personally excited about. Let's hit that one before we get to that conversation.
Yeah, absolutely. First time I saw it sounded a bit like clickbait that Bermuda, the government of Bermuda, the entire country wants to become an on-chain economy and that Circle and Coinbase are supporting that. But if you look into that, they actually have thought the big picture through and it's really interesting. So maybe a bit of the historical setup for that is that the announcement is building on Bermuda's leadership in digital asset regulation. They became in 2018 the first jurisdiction to introduce a comprehensive digital asset framework. And now what they're looking to do is to build an on-chain economy using digital assets for everyday financial infrastructure. Bermuda, obviously, very popular location to found your company. So highly, highly entrepreneurial. They want to make that as easy as on-chain as possible. USDC will play a key role with merchants then being able to accept fast, low-cost dollar-denominated payments. It's a voluntary project. No resident, no business is obliged to use on-chain tools. Also, the collaboration with Coinbase and Circle is not an exclusive one. And there's a rollout plan for that, with the first phase being focused on payments, tokenization tools for financial institutions, and nationwide digital literacy programs. And what's also cool is that government agencies will use that as well, and they will begin piloting USDC payments to streamline their own operations as well.
The plan to get to, I can't remember the big number of stablecoin dollars that Besant has been talking about. Was it 3 trillion that they want to get to in stablecoin dollars? Sometimes I feel like I'm just making these numbers up. They're getting so high. But if you're going to go and, you know, as a proxy for the US, have Coinbase and Circle go and onboard countries into the new US, you know, the dollar denominated system, on-chain system, great initiative, I guess, if that's the goal that you want to pursue. I think that'd be a good way to go about it. Uninvestable though, I guess maybe you can invest in Coinbase, which I think is down quite significantly recently. Circle as well, as the chart has gone off a cliff right after that initial run up when people got so excited on stablecoin hype. I don't know if this would be a buy for you, Ledger, if you think that Coinbase with Circle are going to continue out on this path. Do you have a view there?
I think it's an interesting experiment, but I don't think that this is the thing that would push me over to buy Coinbase and Circle right now, to be honest.
I agree. For a variety of reasons, I've expressed a variety of kind of a variety of concerns around Coinbase and the Circle business. Actually, I don't think they're as locked in for the prime position that people think that they first were. Although this is a cool development, so appreciate the update there. I think it's fun to touch base there and see what's going on. But those are the headlines for today. We're now delighted to welcome back a good friend of the show. It's been a while since we've had him with us, but I'm delighted to welcome back to the show today, Sam from Memeland, who is building out AceTrader. It's a $1 million trade fund, a competition which 100 traders can enter and only one will win it all. Memeland has also been building the space for years. So we want to talk about the successes and challenges they have faced, as well as get to know Sam a bit better for the people who don't know. Multiple time host on the show. First time maybe as an interviewee. Sam, how are you doing? Good to have you with us again.
The delight is mine. What's up, B-Check?
Doing well, man. How are things on your side? You've been on a bit of a world tour recently, had a nice break over the summer and the Christmas. How are things with you?
Things are good, man. Things are good. Yeah, we went back to Hong Kong for a couple weeks over winter break. and we just got a dog, which is the latest and the not greatest. Because, yeah, we can get into that, but let's talk other stuff. Even though I'm the one who brought it up.
One thing I will say before we get into the main stuff, Sam, I'm pretty sure last we spoke to you, your NFTs were down on the back. You can see just behind Sam's head for people watching in, he's got his precious PFP photos. They're back. What's brought them back?
If they were down, it was just a temporary thing. Like 9 out of 10 days they're up there. Maybe I had some call or something, or maybe my wife had some interview that she had to take them down for. But the NFTs stay up. I don't even own all of them, but the Squiggle, the Node Monk, the MVP, the Punk, those are all still in the collection.
Love it. Absolutely love it. So look, we're going to talk Memeland today. We're going to talk AceTrader, which is a cool new competition you guys are rolling out. But for the people who are less familiar, I thought it'd be helpful just to start off with a bit of your history, what you've been up to. You've done some cool stuff at Goldman, cool stuff at Uber. Tell us the story of like how you got to where you are now.
For sure, yeah. So I've had 3 careers. This is my 3rd one. I'm 44 years old, so I'm basically a grandpa by the terms of our space. But I worked at Goldman Sachs for 8 years out of college, most of it in Asia. It was on I had a product called derivative research, looking at volatility products. So that was 8 years, and I was one of the first 50 employees at Uber, and I launched Uber in Europe and in Asia. Ran a couple markets for Uber for 7 years, and then after that, I actually little known, I spent a couple years doing coaching and counseling. It was kind of just something I did during COVID, and then we moved from Hong Kong to the U.S. and I kind of just started getting in NFTs. You know, it was kind of during the crypto punk boom, and I was working for another company and got into NFTs, built a Twitter account, posting about data and statistics around NFTs, and kind of turned that into a career, and worked for Proof for a couple of years. And now I work for Memeland. I've been at Memeland now for 2 years as well.
I love it. When you first came onto the scene, you were NFT stats. Now you are just stats. What is something you have learned from the stats about the state of either the NFT market or the rest of the crypto that is not obvious to other people? Because you were very well known for like debunking common misconceptions that people were feeling about the market. What's one of your key learnings there?
Yeah, I mean, and actually, NFT Stats was my 3rd name. It was first just Punk 9059. That was my original name, and then I think it was Punk Stats, and maybe even Punk Ape Stats when I started doing that. I haven't been looking at the data quite as closely, but a lot of the stuff I found was just how much NFTs are momentum-based assets. Like the single biggest determinant of how a price will perform that I found was how it performed yesterday. So if it went up yesterday, it was something like double as likely to go up today. And I think we've just been in this like 3-year negative momentum cycle where you get little head fakes and whatnot, but broadly speaking, it's just been a hugely negative momentum period. People sometimes say, well, that's obvious, and it's actually not. Bitcoin does not trade this way. Yesterday's performance on Bitcoin has nothing to do with today's performance. Same with Ethereum. You can get basically zero information based on how it traded yesterday. Same with S&P 500, NASDAQ. So the way NFTs trade, where there actually is a lot of information value in how kind of floor prices have been moving in the past, it is quite unique relative to at least a lot of the assets that we trade.
That's really interesting. Really, really interesting. And in theory, then I guess that should make it easier to trade. But I think people haven't necessarily found that to be true.
Yeah, I mean, I think you want to get in when the momentum's hot. It's, you know, floor prices are a little bit different from trading prices. So I think that there is a little bit of a caveat there in terms of, but no, I think people, you also can't really short them, and the real energy has been on the downside. But I think people who made money in NFTs will tell you that they got on. Yeah, it's not the type of thing you want to buy when prices are getting crushed and you're making the value play. It's the type of thing you want to get when it feels like there's energy kind of coalescing around the asset. And I haven't run the numbers on meme coins, but I would think the same is true for meme coins. It's like, these are just not the types of, these are not value assets because there is no value. The value is just in public opinion. And you want to make sure that's already been established before you get in.
Makes sense. We're going to talk Memeland and the new products in a moment, but talking of public opinion, what's your view on the general market at the moment and how the geopolitical table is getting set? Like we were just talking on the show earlier. I don't know if you heard, like some of this stuff is completely wild, like completely wild. Geopolitical stuff, like the table getting reset in ways I don't think we've been able to predict before. What's your kind of read on the situation?
I think, I mean, look, basically every chart and everything we held to be true is no longer like Bitcoin is just, and crypto thereafter is just not performing the way that we kind of always assumed, not always, but over the past few years have assumed it would. Like all sorts of charts about how global money supply leads to Bitcoin performing better, it leads to crypto, or basically global money supply, as it increases, Bitcoin goes up, as it decreases, Bitcoin goes down, and people would show those charts, and then you'd see these huge pumps in money supply, and everyone would say, oh, well, Bitcoin's about to pump too. And we just haven't had that. Like, you've had the money supply rise. All those charts would suggest that we would be a lot higher than we are right now. And we haven't been rallying. I mean, NASDAQ is, outside of this morning's performance, basically at all-time highs, and Bitcoin has been lagging. People have called it Bitcoin an inflation proxy or an inflation hedge, or a chaos hedge. And gold, metals are all performing like those are assets that should be doing very, very well, and Bitcoin is not doing very well. So I think that there were a couple kind of like idiosyncratic things. That's all kind of like beta stuff, but I think the alpha stuff was one. We had a huge kind of like President Trump anticipation rally. That basically was kind of the peak from what we've gotten so far, which was this anticipation that President Trump would do a ton that would really pump the price of Bitcoin. And it was more the anticipation than the reality that worked there. And then, the second thing is, I think the digital asset, or the DATs and whatnot, had a ton of buying that was artificial buying. It was not people who actually wanted to own the asset. It was people who were trying to arbitrage the premium they could get in the marketplace. You had tons of crypto being bought by a lot of buyers that at their core didn't actually want it. And I also wonder just how much Bitcoin is being associated with President Trump in the USA right now. And I think like Asia governments, Asia wealth, a lot of the people who are really moving the gold market are just choosing gold and metals over Bitcoin. And there's just clearly a lot of selling of Bitcoin. As far as President Trump goes, I mean, you get a guy with his predicament at his age in office and give him all the power he has. And sometimes I feel like it's like watching like my hamster, with my hamster cage, I'll put like a wheel in, I'll put all sorts of different stuff in and just see what happens. And you never know what's going to happen. And then you get a guy who's got his personality, his ego, and his temperament at age 80, in the 80s, like, and you give him this much power and you just kind of watch and see what happens. And that's what we're all, nothing's ever surprising anymore.
Yeah, it feels like every day waking up to he's famous for the reality TV shows, right? It feels like the presidency has become that now for all of us, to watch in every day, check in on the new episode of what clips just dropped.
If the uncertainty and the complete deviation from all status quo and norms doesn't scare you, then there's some entertainment value in it. But broadly speaking, one of the good things for me over the past 6 months is I have not paid a lot of attention to politics, which has been kind of like I just have not gone as deep. I get the headlines, but I haven't tried to be overly analytical or overly engaged. But a move that's never hurt me in the past.
Yeah, sometimes it feels like it's the more peaceful option. One final question, because you mentioned Asia. You've historically spent a lot of time there, a lot, so you know the region well. You've just come back from there. I've been coming up with this idea that you mentioned, like, to what extent Bitcoin's become associated with President Trump, and I decided, okay, like Bitcoin is somehow USA, is gold. Besant even came out the other day and said a lot of the gold demand is coming from China specifically, although I'm sure there's lots of other people trying to stack gold as well. Like, do you think in some way, from your time in Asia specifically, like, are you getting a read on how people are viewing their portfolios, their assets out in the East? Are they specifically favoring gold? Do they still like Bitcoin at all? Like, is that the way they're viewing it, or did you have a different view?
I got a much better glimpse at my in-laws' perspective on family than I got into invest. Yeah, it was a family trip, just seeing my wife's family out there, because all my kids were born out there and whatnot. I don't have a great sense. I think those statements are very hard to make, like the one I made about Bitcoin becoming, I mean, clearly there's a lot of Bitcoin interest in Korea, in China, like that's not going anywhere. But I think if there is this movement towards selling dollars and buying something, it is clearly not going into Bitcoin. And I think that a lot of the kind of Trump bullishness was the idea that you'd start to see sovereign governments feel pressured to buy Bitcoin because the US would start doing it ourselves, and America would lead the way towards just kind of more institutions countries, sovereigns seeing Bitcoin and crypto the way that we've seen gold, where kind of governments own some, and we just haven't seen that play out, And I think that there's been opportunity for that as if people are trying to move away from the dollar, you could presumably see a world where there's interest in Bitcoin, but it feels like metals are kind of where those bids are going. But I would not say that's from my trip there. That's just from looking at the charts and whatnot. It is interesting to go there, especially being after here, where we like just the amount of progress that is being made in Asia on electric vehicles, on all these technologies that the US is currently abandoning. It's like perhaps here there's a bit of pride in that, and like we're going back to Ford and kind of the gas guzzling cars and making America proud, but China's just kind of laughing about it, is my impression, and just building out so much more alternative energy, which is so important for AI. I mean, EVs are, even Hong Kong, which controversially you could say is or is not part of China. I mean, it is, but you need a passport to go from Hong Kong to China. So if you need a passport to go from one country to the next, I generally say that's not the same country. Otherwise you can just cross borders, because that's kind of what happens in a country. I don't need a passport to go from Colorado to California. But that aside, sorry to anyone I offended with that. Hong Kong's EV market is massive. It's just like everywhere you go, all you see is BYDs and other low cost EVs, and just it feels like in a lot of in Shenzhen, the amount of kind of experiments they're doing on drone delivery and stuff like that is far surpassing stuff I've seen here. So it does feel like there is a kind of, I think, a technology leadership kind of challenge that's really happening from out there that is basically being either ignored or just not cared about here.
I'd really love to talk hours and hours with you about your insights into Asia, AI, and markets and politics. But I also want to get into the product part. So I have to play the timekeeper here and move the conversation to the Memeland and then also to the AceTrader side of things. But maybe let's start with an explainer for those who are not too familiar with Memeland. How does it work for people who don't know the ties to the Web2 business? What's the whole structure and setup? What do people need to know about Memeland to understand the business model and the Web3 part of it?
Yeah, I mean, Ray and his brother and a couple other founders started a company called 9gag more than 10 years ago. And it was Y Combinator, it became one of the top 50 websites in terms of traffic in the world. And it was basically just a meme sharing website. And I think was very dialed into kind of meme culture, particularly in Asia and outside the US, but also some here. And yeah, it became a huge website, a strong business. And the company, I think over time, through, we also have like big Instagram account and other places. And that was like a profitable business in itself. But I think that there was an interest in moving into something new. And then Ray he got really into NFTs and launched Memeland kind of after launching Captains. And then the goal has always been, I'm sorry, not Captains. First it was the potatoes and MVPs, and then Captains were later, but launched a whole project around NFT, or a whole NFT collection based on 3 different collections within it, then launched Memecoin. And overall, the company is just trying to use the reach, the distribution, the technology team we have to build products that support the Memeland ecosystem. So there have been a lot of different efforts at that over the couple years I've been there and before. And AceTrader is certainly, of the stuff I've seen, it's had like some of the best retention and kind of most promising data of anything I've seen.
Was that a bit of the strategy to also like test different products from payment infrastructure? I think there was also the credit card, right, to now AceTrader. Or how basically did you get to the point to also build AceTrader now? And what was the thinking beyond the like broad range of products and business applications that have been tested?
I mean, I think the advantages that Memeland has are massive distribution, strong balance sheet, and a strong tech team, and then also pretty deep understanding of Web3. So I think when you put that all together, AceTrader felt like a good product. I can give a basic overview of what AceTrader is, if that'd be helpful, because I think with the AceTrader 100, and I think there's kind of a bit of a misunderstanding over what the actual product is. So what AceTrader is it's a trading platform connected kind of to Hyperliquid. And the basic idea is that you can buy in for $9.99 or $149, and that gives you an opportunity to trade a book. And it's paper trading, but if you show strong statistics in your trading over the course of 4 to 5 days, Memeland will fund you with our own balance sheet. And you get anywhere from $1,000 to $20,000, depending on how much you bought in for, that you can trade on your own, and you keep 80% of your own profits. So the basic idea, the kind of the themes that this is pulling from, is one, people want to trade and want to learn how to trade. Two, you don't want to risk all your money. So if you're learning how to trade, it's easier to buy a $9 position on AceTrader, where if you do well, you will get funded, than it is to just go and trade your family's money and risk going to zero. Your losses are limited. And then the third thing is that when people are paper trading, you also need that dopamine hit and upside possibility of making a lot of money. So your downside here is limited just to kind of your $9.99 or 149 entry. If your whole portfolio goes down 10%, basically you bust and you have to buy back in. But if you do well and show strong trading abilities, then Memeland will give you our own balance sheet, and you will trade that, and you will get to keep the profits. So it's giving people the dopamine hits, the excitement of making money, the ability to make money for their family, while also limiting downside in case, in that early period where you're learning how to trade, or if you're a good trader and you just have taken your share of wounds and you trade 50-50 and you would rather brush up on your skills. This is like a different way that you can get involved in the space without, we have so many stories in the space of people losing everything. And the idea here is to tap into what they're going for, which is excitement, upside, while removing that possibility of losing everything. Unless you only have $149 to your name, then you might lose everything.
Gotcha.
Makes sense.
And, one more follow-up question on that. And is it also in some sort tying back to the NFT community? Is there an advantage to having been part of the NFT community to now using AceTrader, or are they completely separate?
People who have NFTs, we announced recently, the NFT holders are going to get free access to, so you're not going to have to pay those entry fees for a little while. So basically trying to give people who have NFT specific access. My view is always the goal of these products, or the goal of something within NFT / coin ecosystem, is for the product to make money and be profitable, and then use that money to support the ecosystem, either through buying the token or through doing things that support the overall ecosystem overall. So that's kind of where I kind of stand, is like, use these products to make money as a company, because once we fund you, we give you our balance sheet, we keep 20% of your profits. So we're basically trying to find the best traders who demonstrate it just simply via data, like, give us a week of trading, let's see how you do. And then we are getting the 20% of their profits, you get 80%. So we are trying to find people, and then we are using our balance sheet to fund them. So there are a lot of ways that this product can be quite profitable for the overall community.
Really, really interesting. And as you build out, so it sounds like AceTrader is like the main priority now. How do you think about, so kind of adjacent to this, but maybe a similar question, the community of NFT holders and people, I saw there was like an announcement around captains the other day. I think there was a bit of excitement and energy around that again after a while. Like, how do you think about that community? Because I think one of the strong things about Memeland for a long period of time was the community. And then maybe there was a period of time where maybe things took a long time on execution. And so, there was like just a period of time of waiting to try to figure out what Memeland were doing. How do you balance managing the community with building this like new product, or keep testing and keep pushing forward on the product side?
Well, you want to give those to Chris's questions. I mean, one, you want to give the community special privileges within the products you make. So if these products are valuable and have value in them, then giving the community, special privileges around lower entry fees or free entry fees or free opportunities to trade. Like, that's one point. And then the second point is, if the product ultimately becomes profitable, then that money can go back into the token and into NFTs. And Memeland owns a ton of Memeland NFTs. It's one of the things that kind of made me like working for the company, is that the company's, I think, there's a huge reputation in the industry of founders and companies selling their own tokens once the value gets high. I think within Memeland, I've primarily seen the opposite, which is the company buying tokens and NFTs when they go down. So we own a lot and we want to keep owning more. And that's a way that you can kind of give value back to the NFT holders as well. So, that's obviously not a commitment or a promise, but within that's kind of how we generally see every product, is like when one hits, that's more money that we can put back into the ecosystem, because pretty much everyone at the company is basically has a lot of exposure to our own assets. So the incentives are very much aligned there.
We had this interesting, so you mentioned the token there as well, because obviously you've got this strong NFT community, then you did the meme token as well. We had this interesting conversation with Ovi the other day from Rect, talking about how, to what extent do builders want to just focus on the building and the price kind of takes care of itself? Or is the price like front and center, look at it every day, try to make it go up, even when the market's not right? And even when the market's like completely against you, just like constantly prioritizing. His view was, I got to look at it every day. It's like front and center. Do you guys have a perspective, or like a company perspective on the token itself, as opposed to all these other kind of assets and products that you're managing?
I mean, Ovi and I are both Wall Street guys, right? Like, I think if you got your career started, like I did for 8 years at Goldman Sachs, ultimately, like, you have your community. I mean, we use the word community, but those are people who've invested in you. So I think to say like the people who've invested in us financially are people who, like, to say that those are people that we don't care about, or we're just going to build our products and whatever. No, I think you have to think about the price of your assets. Like, that's kind of, when people invest in you, that's kind of like the two-way commitment that gets made. So, I think at the end of the day, you can only do so much within a world, especially when you're in the product building stage of trying to build stuff that, hopefully is going to generate returns and help you financially support, kind of throw money back at the community. You can only do so much in that stage, but the goal to me always has to be the people who've invested in you. I mean, that's just basic. Don't take the investment if that's not going to be your goal.
What do you think is the long-term potential for AceTrader then? I guess a lot of, like, you've already explained the why, like why you think this product would be the thing that will hit in a way, like maybe there's limited downside, very good kind of risk reward dynamics. What's the long-term potential for this, do you think?
I mean, I think the long-term potential is just that a lot of people use it. And I saw this at Uber, is that when a lot of people use a product, they tell their friends, and then their friends use it, and then more and more people use it, and you get products that generate a lot of revenue and do well for you and your community. So I think, because I think the product is good, because we've seen just extremely strong retention. We did a beta period for like 3 months, and people who bought in and got funded, ended up doing fine. And then people who did not get funded ended up coming back and wanting to continue to try over and over again. So it's a product that I've just seen kind of has a lot of that network effect, or I shouldn't say network effect, but this effect where people, it has virality to it. Like, the people who use it like it and tell their friends. We just haven't, we've spent a lot of time trying to make sure that the technology was strong enough to hold 1,000 people trading at once, or whatever it was that we needed, before we really tried to push kind of the virality levers. But that's what we're seeing with AceTrader 100. This is a tournament where anybody can enter, and the winner is going to get funded with a $1 million fund. So we're right now trying to dial up the marketing, dial up the interest, get more people involved, and ideally people tell their friends, and this becomes, a great business.
Can you quickly run us through how the AceTrader 100 competition is going to work?
Sure. So there are two major pools. Now within one, there's kind of two subsets there. But there are, we found 20 influencers, KOLs, whatever, celebrities, kind of people who you've seen around, guys like Mando, Farouk, Zeneca, Calio, Crypto Gorilla, Min was one of our guys. Legendary, the one and only, is going to be one of the traders. So we got a bunch of kind of the top names and personalities in the space who are going to be participating, and then there are going to be 80 other spots that are open to all, and there's going to be a qualifier period, and the best traders of those 80 are going to get to be in the competition. Now, of those 80, they get divided into two groups. One is open entry, so you can enter however much you want, and then the second is paying $9 to enter. And the only benefit that gives you is that it puts you in a much smaller group, because as we know, everyone loves free stuff, but once you have to start paying money, you limit the number of participants. So if you want to pay $9, you can join a subscriber pool where, it's good. You're competing against fewer people. So we'll pick 80 people. And then from there will be a 100-person tournament. I'm not sure the exact duration of it. I think it's either 1 to 2 weeks, but the winner at the end, the person who is the most profitable at the end, will get funded with $1 million of Memeland's balance sheet. And then you trade that and keep, I believe, 90% of the profits for yourself. And if you do win, there'll also be a minimum payout if you are not profitable when you're trading that fund. So it's a chance to get $1 million of other people's money to your name to trade and see what you can do with it.
Interesting stuff. Okay. And so any final details you need to share, Sam, for what people need to know about it? I guess there's a timed element here that people need to sign up by in order to get going.
Yeah, I mean, there's a timing element. I think, I've been doing I've started a podcast with a few of the participants. Chris, we should get you on there. Legendary. Would love to do a call with you to learn kind of your approach to how you would think about trading this format. I think the basic idea is what you want to do is just go max long leverage certain things. And I think that of course, if you're trading against 100 people, there's no points for being 12th place instead of 88th place, right? You want to just kind of put yourself in a position to win. The other thing that AceTrader rewards, though, is consistency. And you will not get, you don't get funded. It's like getting funded is not just about, do you go up 50%? It's about, do you get up 50% while also being profitable 4 days in a row, without busting, without having a day where you're down 10%. So ultimately, this is a platform for people who want to brush up on their trading skills and work on their pattern recognition, on their technical trading, on their short-term trading. And that's what we are targeting, as opposed to just people who are taking flyer bets and trying to get balance sheet because of it. The way that it is evaluated to see who actually develops skills to learn how to be a good trader over time. Largely because the goal is to create good traders and to create people who are consistent and reliable. And obviously we would not want to give our balance sheet to someone who just gets lucky on a 50x Bitcoin trade. We'd much rather give it to people who are profitable 4 or 5 days in a row, never have a bust day, stuff like that. So I think that is important to understand about this product. This is a product for people who want to learn the art of trading, learn how to go on to Hyperliquid as a futures trader, as a perps trader, and not just throw it all out the wind and hope you get lucky, but people who actually want to figure out if they can develop this skill.
Sounds good, man. If you want to follow along, and if you want to follow along on Sam's journey to keep up with any updates, that is, of course, at Punk9059. That is the account to follow. You've got the Memeland account to follow as well, at Memeland, and AceTrader. If you want to participate or if you want to check it out, it is simply at AceTrader. So, Sam, thanks so much for joining us, man. Great to have you back with us. Anything else you want to share before we close up?
That's all for now. Yeah, if anyone's got puppy advice, hit me up.
All good. Thanks so much for joining us, Sam. It's been a pleasure. Just a reminder, guys out there listening, we do this every single day, Monday to Friday, 7 a.m. Eastern time, live on X Video, YouTube, and you can catch us on Apple and Spotify as well. We hope you have a wonderful day. Take care. We'll be back same time, same place tomorrow. See you then. Bye-bye.